Hi, my name's Pip and I work at Sydney Advanced Physiotherapy. I'm going to try and give you a really quick overview of what stress incontinence is using this little yellow balloon. Now your bladder sits inside your pelvis, and as it fills it starts to sit on top of your pubic bone here. You've got two things that help you stay continent: your urethral closure pressure, so that's a sphincter that's not under your control that closes that pipe, and then you've also got your pelvic floor to add some squeeze. So as long as these two things can create enough squeeze to counteract the pressure inside your bladder, then you're going to keep urine inside until you're ready to go to the toilet, and then you can relax your pelvic floor and urine will come out. In stress incontinence, often it's the pelvic floor that's not strong enough. So you're relying on your urethral closure pressure to actually keep this fluid inside the bladder. Now, if this can't provide enough squeeze with what pelvic floor you have, then you're going to get urine coming out. The other thing that can happen is you can get some weakness or damage to your urethral sphincter, and if that happens, then your pelvic floor has to be able to squeeze a whole lot more to be able to keep urine inside your body. So if you've got a weak pelvic floor and some damage to your urethral sphincter, then what can happen is as the bladder fills, that pressure gets a little bit too much and urine comes out. Often you find that urine only comes out when the pressure really goes up when you do something like a cough or a sneeze and you go running. So what happens in that case, let's say a cough, is I go to take a breath in, and as I cough out I get a huge amount of pressure in my stomach. Now if my bladder's sitting up nice and high in my pelvic cavity like it should be, that pressure will hit my bladder and it will hit the bladder neck and it will impact both equally. If I have a little bit of a prolapse or a weak pelvic floor, my bladder is going to sit a little bit lower. And so when I cough, that pressure in my stomach's only going to hit my bladder. So then it seems like there's a lot more pressure in the bladder than there was a minute ago. So you might have, let's just choose an arbitrary number, a pressure of 10 in the bladder. And if your pressure of cough is 40, then that pressure in the bladder goes up to 50. So if that pressure doesn't hit your bladder neck the same way it hits your bladder, then what happens is all of a sudden your urethral sphincter and your pelvic floor have to be able to produce an extra 40 squeeze to be able to keep you continent. So if you haven't got extra backup strength in your pelvic floor for when you cough or sneeze, then urine's going to come out because suddenly the pressure is higher in the bladder. Hopefully that makes sense, and it's just a quick way of explaining how stress incontinence works. Obviously it's a little bit more complicated than that. The best thing that you can do is go and see a women's health physiotherapist so they can try and establish what is actually creating the stress incontinence and what you need to resolve it and whether your pelvic floor is strong enough. So give us a call on 9416 4410 if you need help with your stress incontinence.